This is Steve McGrath, and welcome back to Beyond the Helmet. Now, before I introduce my guest today, if you haven't already, go ahead, click that subscribe button, like, 5-star review, anything at all to help spread the word, because we're about to chop it up with Chris Wormley. How's it going tonight, man?
I'm doing well, man. How are you doing, Steve?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for taking the time. I would imagine where you're sitting today is very different than where you were this time last year. Getting used to getting traded to a team, but then this whole COVID thing wasn't exactly a dream offseason scenario for you. So, man, how are you feeling today? Just actually going to move into a situation where you can fully prepare like a normal athlete?
Yeah, it's been a crazy probably year and a half. I guess I can take you back a little bit farther than even COVID. So my wife and I had our first child the day after Christmas in 2019, and we were doing the mom and dad life, right after the off season and enjoying that life. And then the pandemic hit. We had a 3-month-old daughter. We had just moved from a spot in Baltimore to another spot in Baltimore with a new baby, and so the pandemic hits and everything gets shut down, and then maybe less than a week later, I get traded to Pittsburgh. So kind of having to uproot our lifestyle and kind of move to a different city and kind of figure that all out. And the biggest thing I think is not really having an off season, right? So kind of no, everything was virtual last year. We kind of go right into camp. I don't really get to get acclimated with the team as well as I wanted to, playbook wise, even just relationship wise with the teammates, the defensive line, things like that. I felt was kind of cut short, and so the season kind of goes. I get banged up in camp. I kind of missed all of camp with some nagging injuries, and then I got put on IR halfway through the season with a knee injury. So it was a weird time, especially during the season. And now, fast forward a year later, we get OTAs. I'm a little more comfortable, a little more acclimated with not only the teammates and the organization, but the city in general. Like I said before we started this, I was doing some stuff around the house. We just moved into a new house in Pittsburgh, so we're kind of making this our home for at least the next 2 years. So it's been a crazy 18 months, but I think it's made me a better person and made my family a better, closer family, and we're excited for at least this season, definitely this season, to kind of get back into some normalcy. Fans in the stadiums, going to restaurants after games, just small things that you take for granted that we weren't able to do last year. And I know Heinz Field and the fans in Pittsburgh are ready for some fans as well to be back in the stadium.
Absolutely. And I should have started with congratulating you on signing your new deal to stay in Pittsburgh. I did want to get to that, but just to sort of follow up on this whole last, you call it, 16-ish months for you. I mean, the human element of having to, you just had your daughter, you're just getting used to, trying to get into a routine, and then you have to now move to a different part of the country. And it's not even, so just that part of it of being a human being, but then it's like, a hated rival. Like how did you have to like also process the mental part of like a hated rival, but B, on some level having to be like, you know what, my team in essence thought that I wasn't that valuable if they wanted to get off of move me in favor of something else. Do you pay a lot of attention, or did you allow yourself to think about like, wow, I was only worth whatever the return was, or wow, the Ravens really didn't must not have appreciated me. I mean, just it's a whole lot to work through.
Yeah. So after that was my third season, I finished my third season, and I thought I had a pretty good third season. It was the best season I had so far. I built off of what my second season was, and kind of established myself as a starter in our base package, and was looking to build on that for my fourth season last season. And when I got traded, I was kind of like, I definitely was hurt. I thought I was going to be one of the mainstays for the next 5-6 years in Baltimore. They went in a different direction, and they shipped me off to Pittsburgh, which is a division rival. I mean, I grew up a Steelers fan, living in Toledo, Ohio, my whole life. So when I got drafted to Baltimore, I kind of had to flip that switch, and they were paying they were writing my checks every week, and when I get traded back to Steelers, it was kind of like, somewhat of a surreal moment because this was my childhood team that I idolized growing up. But it was just a little different now. It's more of a business now, and I'm fighting for a job, and I'm very fortunate that the Steelers traded for me, and they saw some value in me, and but yeah, it was crazy that just like that mental battle with yourself, questioning are you good enough? Why did they move on to other players in Baltimore? So yeah, it was a little bit of a mind game and a little bit of a mental struggle on top of coronavirus, on top of the pandemic, on top of a new baby. So
It wasn't enough to juggle. You had to
right,
throw another ball in there.
let's add something else on there. So yeah, it was a struggle, but I think I learned a lot of valuable lessons and I'm better for it.
And you said you talked about the business part of it, and ultimately that's what this is. Despite growing up with the fandom and the love affair that this country has with the game, ultimately when you're in the machine, it's a business, and um, it must be tough to deal with that. So a little piece of that business then is you being in a position where you were a free agent, you could have taken your talent elsewhere. What was that free agent process like for you? Did you really entertain leaving, or was your number one priority to stay where you were? I mean, how did you sort of rank what was most important to you?
Yeah, I think, and I've said this before, but me and my wife had the discussion probably halfway through the season, like this isn't for us. Pittsburgh is just not the place for us when it comes to team wise. Like I was banged up a lot, and when I was healthy, I wasn't playing a whole lot. Um, so we kind of had in our minds that we were gonna try and test free agency a little bit and see what that process was like. And when free agency rolled around, the Steelers had the best offer, and it gave us some security as far as 2 years, um, and me being healthy now, I think I can contribute a lot more, and I think the coaches will have a little more trust in me. And if they gave me a 2-year deal, they must have some type of faith in me, and saw some when I did play and when I was making plays, they liked what they saw. So yeah, it's weird how things work out and how you think something isn't going to happen or isn't in the cards for you, and it turns out to be the best situation. And we both, my wife and I, both have a different outlook on these next 2 years, and especially this upcoming season, and we're excited for it. And to be in Pittsburgh again is something that I think is going to be a benefit to both of us.
Hence you having to go to 9:30 at night, moving stuff around in a new house because hey, plans change.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was my fault being a little late to the Zoom meeting, but yeah, it's what comes with having responsibility as an adult now, and doing stuff around the house for sure.
Of course. From what I could tell, though, the timeline of your free agency signing, it seemed like uh, Tyson might have been moving on, but then ultimately he comes back to the Steelers. At any point, do you start trying to play the game of like, well, playing time might be this, or do you not really care about anyone else and what they're doing? You really are just looking out for, making sure that you have a place to call home as a professional athlete.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, you have to think about yourself, and that's what every other player does in free agency is they think about themselves and not thinking about the next guy. Um, and I think with Tyson going to Jacksonville, I think that definitely made us want to come back to Pittsburgh a little more than originally. And then when he came back, it was I love Tyson. He's a mentor on and off the field. He's been in the league now. I think this is his 12th year, so he's been through a lot and seen a lot of things. And I definitely pick his brain when it comes to football and just life in general. So I'm excited to have him back. But yeah, I think everyone has to weigh their options for themselves and what the best situation is for each individual.
For sure. Now you come into the league being a former All-American in Michigan. I mean, certainly someone that had a resume coming in. When you think about your Baltimore days, just trying to cut your teeth as a rookie, did anyone in particular really serve as that sort of mentor that maybe Tyson is now for you? But whether it was Michael Pierce or anyone I mean, You also got Terrell Suggs, might not be your position, but I mean, as someone that obviously had grown up watching the game, I mean, to play alongside anyone that you might have looked up to, I mean, uh, I'm rambling, but did you have anyone in particular that you really, but that kind of took you under their wing?
I mean, I don't know if anyone really necessarily took me under their wing, but I mean, watching Terrell Suggs play against the Steelers, and hating him as a kid was pretty cool to play with him for 2 years. Mike Pierce and I are still close. I talk to him probably, if not every day, if not every other day. And he's someone that came in undrafted, worked his butt off to be in the position where he's at now, and signed a big deal with Minnesota last year. But those guys, Brent Urban, who's in Dallas now, we played the same position. So him just teaching me what he knows and about the position, the five technique, that's what we played when we were in Baltimore. He helped out a lot. And Brandon Williams, the nose tackle there now, was a big help in just learning how to navigate not only in football but just in the organization in general, and what it took to be the level player that he is.
So, Michael being like an undrafted guy, you obviously All-American, a third-round pick. Do you see? So maybe not specifically yourself, but in general, do guys sometimes sort of have to check like, hey, what I did in college doesn't matter? Or on the other end of it, do you see undrafted guys coming in with this ridiculous fire because they know they have nothing to lose? Do you see guys just sort of using that status as a way to either propel them or potentially that status holding them back?
Yeah, I think a lot of guys have to kind of check themselves and kind of humble themselves a little bit. I've seen in just my 4 years a lot of first rounders or former first rounders not make it to their end of their contract, or not the so-called bust kind of mentality. I think I've seen that more than I was hoping. Guys come in thinking they're going to play 20 15 20 years, and in reality it's probably way less than half that time span. And I think for me, especially coming in, I think I was humbled pretty fast when it came to camp, my first camp in Baltimore. They work hard there, and I was humbled pretty quickly. Not that I was cocky or anything like that, but it was just more of a reality check of this is what the NFL is. So I learned pretty quickly how to adjust to that, and once again getting traded too. That was a little bit of a reality check and a little slice of humble pie as well.
So are you the type of guy that there's now that chip on your shoulder, or do you let it roll off your back?
I mean, a lot of stuff you just have to let it roll off, especially when it comes to the business side of things. Oh, 1 second, I'm sorry.
No worries.
Adobe Flash is popping up.
Oh, the Adobe will get you.
Yeah, but I think when it comes to the business side of things, letting it roll off, not taking everything so personal. You take things personal, that can weigh you down a good amount mentally. But yeah, when we played Baltimore last year, I definitely had a little chip on my shoulder, and we won those 2 games last year. So my chest was sticking out a little more than a usual win. But yeah, you can use that as motivation, or you can use that to drag you down. And I like to use use that for motivation.
Of course. Now, at least in Baltimore, we definitely saw you play different spots along the line. Obviously, very early in the Steelers' career, but what are your thoughts on playing nose versus defensive end? Do you have a preference? Do you, were you told one thing or another along the way? Like how has the versatility sort of come about in your game over the years?
Yeah, I think when as you get older, as a rookie, you just try and learn your position. You try and do that as well as you can to get on the field, and then as you evolve, you kind of learn what the outside linebackers are doing, what the linebackers behind you are doing, where everyone fits. And as you go along, you kind of pick up on certain techniques of what the nose is doing versus the 2 tech or the 3 technique or the outside linebacker. So yeah, I think you can put me anywhere in the inside, and I can get the job done. But I think what position suits me best is that 5 tech or 4 technique. But Tyson had a great year last year at nose, and I know he's gonna flourish in that again. But if he needs a breather, you can fill me in, and I can play nose for a couple plays. But any more than 4 or 5 plays during a game and deep in the trenches like that, it weighs on you a little bit.
Bro, for sure. I wouldn't last a second. Um, man, so I don't mean to characterize your career in any way, but I think it's fair to say that you really haven't had a great opportunity to really get out there. You've just always been behind great guys, and it's been hard for you to get as many snaps on the field as I'm sure you would like. So that being said, how do you go about goal setting when, it seems like on some level, I'd imagine you're probably a little frustrated that you haven't been able to play and show everyone the capable that you're able to on a consistent basis. So how do you just sort of assess what you want to accomplish in a year?
Yeah, I guess kind of going back to after my third year, that's where I felt like I had kind of shown what
Yeah, there are definite progressions.
I was taking steps, and I was showing Baltimore what I had and what I could do to contribute to the team. And obviously, like I said, they went into a different direction. So when I got to the Steelers, I knew they already had Cam. I knew they had Tuitt, and obviously Tyson. And I felt like I could kind of plug in and play any of those positions when they needed a breather. But injuries and things like that kind of held me back last year. And I think as far as goal setting goes, it's more of just for me, at least this year, my biggest thing is just to stay healthy. I think if I could stay healthy, then I'll get more snaps and I'll get more, I'll make more plays and get noticed more. And that's going to be the biggest thing for me is just staying healthy. And if I can stay healthy, I know that I can have a year like I did my third year.
Oh, for sure. So, you know, I was about to say two, but really three top tier organizations. When you look at the University of Michigan, what their standing is, not just as an academic institution, where of course you have multiple degrees, but also what they've done as a football program for their entire existence. That added on to the Ravens being a top tier organization, the Steelers. When you kind of take a step back and just think about what it takes for good programs to run at a very high level and consistently be winners. Do you have any feeling, at this stage in your career, what sort of maybe the main themes are for why some institutions can just get it done over and over again?
I mean, I think the biggest thing for me is just communication, whether that's from, Coach Harbaugh at Michigan, Coach Harbaugh with the Ravens, or Coach Tomlin. It starts at the top down. And when you can get everybody on the same page, there's no second guessing, whether that's something as simple as knowing what time our meetings start, to knowing what the game plan is, to knowing what plays are run on third and short compared to third and medium. When everyone knows what's going on and everyone can understand the game plan, the culture of the organization, I think that leaves little doubt to what is expected and allows you to just play freely and just let loose when it comes to game days and practice and the preparation.
Sure. So my real tough question then is, is this finally like Harbaugh's going to get it right this year after kind of a weird COVID year? Like, is this finally when they get back to some of what you had while you were at Michigan?
I mean, as looking at it as a fan, I'm going to say I hope so. And I guess. I mean, I really hope so. I don't know how many more years he's going to be able to kind of say, next year, or last year obviously was with COVID, but for the sake of the program, I hope we can figure it out. I hope it's not whatever it's been 11 years now or 10 years where we haven't beaten Ohio State. So yeah, I have faith. I'm always going to have faith when it comes to the boys in blue, but it's been a rough decade for the Maize and Blue when it comes to beating Ohio State, which is the most important game.
Now, I've been peppering you with sort of your football career, how the twists and turns have gone. But man, as we get towards the end here, who are you away from the field? When you're just being dad, or you're trying to decompress a little bit in the off season. Man, what are some of the things you like to do when you're not worried about lining up and what you're going to do in the trenches?
I mean, you said it, just being a dad. it's been an amazing year and a half for me when it comes to being a dad, learning how to be a dad, just spending time with my daughter. It's been amazing. Being a husband, that's always a work in progress when it comes to the relationship you have with your wife. You know, the communication, like I talked about with teams. If you don't have communication with your wife, that's going to cause some issues. But besides those two people in my life, just hang out with friends. I love to travel. I love to eat. I'm a big guy, so trying new spots is always one of my favorite things to do. I've gotten into some real estate a little bit over the last year and a half or so. Just trying to figure out what I want to do life after football besides being a dad and husband. So just trying to branch out a little bit, educate myself on things other than just X's and O's and being big and strong, and just trying to be a more well-versed human and contributing to society a little more.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure that I saw that this year you guys are going to be paid on a 36-week cycle as opposed to 18. So, as someone that is, navigating that real estate area, I'm sure that literally everyone that plays this year is going to get a little bit of a financial education of what happens sometimes when you don't get money the way that cash flow gets disturbed a little bit. Is that something that whether it's the team or the league, have they done anything to sort of try to educate everyone and make sure everyone knows how this year is going to be different?
Yeah, I think we've gotten a couple emails about it, but not like a seminar or a presentation on it. And I think the 36 weeks is really, I think the 36 weeks is really helpful when it comes to rookies who aren't used to making, millions of dollars, $500,000 rookie deals, and guys that have struggled in the past with their budgets. But guys like me who are smart with their money, and guys that would rather have their money in 17 weeks so they can invest that money. Money now is worth more than money in the future. When it comes to investing and things like that, I think it's a little bit of a bummer. I wish we could have maybe had the option to choose 36 weeks or 17. But either way, I think it's going to be most beneficial to the young guys and the guys who have struggled in the past with their budgets.
And did you pull a Russell Okun and get your paycheck in Bitcoin this year?
I did not. I'm not too well read on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, so I'm going to leave that to him. It looks like he's made a good amount of money off of it, but I'll take my American US dollars for now.
You're not alone, seeing as he is literally the only one as far as I know.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, I know it's getting late, so I want to wrap this up on this little thing that I call the gauntlet. I just got a couple quick hitter questions for you, man, starting with what is most important when it comes to winning? Is it having the number one offense or the number one defense?
Man, I'm a defensive guy, so I'm always going to say defense. I think you kind of saw it this past year in the Super Bowl with Kansas City and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay had a really, really good defense, and obviously Mahomes and their offense is electric. And the defense won it for them. Basically, obviously they have Tom Brady, but they pressured the heck out of Mahomes and threw him off his game. And I think that was the deciding factor, was that defense.
Definitely. If you can use your defensive line, not have to blitz anyone, disrupt the quarterback, I think that you're going to win far more games than you lose. And that's basically what the Super Bowl felt like.
Absolutely.
Now, do you have a pregame ritual that you stick to?
Nothing too crazy. Usually it changes a little bit during from season to season, but it's always listening to music, listening to Drake and Future a little bit are my two go-tos when it comes to some hype music. Usually the same type of meal throughout the week or throughout the day. Nothing super superstitious or anything like that, or anything that like I have to do. I kind of just try and relax as much as possible, get in the zone and get ready for the game. Fair
enough. Now, players or scheme, if you had to pick one, what is most important when it comes to winning?
Man, trying to think. I'm gonna go with players. I'm gonna go with players. You have guys that can get to the quarterback. You have Patrick Mahomes out there slinging it. It doesn't matter if Andy Reid can call up the greatest play ever. If Patrick Mahomes isn't back there, it's probably not going to go the same way, or Aaron Donald. You can have the greatest blitz ever or the greatest one-on-one scheme, but if it's not Aaron Donald, you're probably not going to win as much as he is. So I'm going to go with players just because of the X factor that each player can bring, as opposed to a scheme where it's just kind of writing things on a board and kind of telling people where to go. So I'll go with players.
Fair enough. Now, there's many snaps ahead of you, but when you look back at the ones that you have done, do you have a favorite football memory so far?
I guess in the NFL, it would probably be either my first sack against Tennessee, it was on Mariota, or I had a fourth down stop against the 49ers 2 years ago, batted pass that led to a game-winning field goal drive. So I think that was probably my favorite NFL memory for sure.
All right. Well, man, I got one more for you, and I think it's the most important. Just considering everything you've done to be a top-level high school athlete, become an All-American at Michigan, to go on and have this NFL career, which, again, is still just getting up and going with the amount of snaps I'm sure you still have left in you. What's the best piece of advice that you give to someone that just looks at you and says, hey, man, how do I get there?
I mean, for me, I might be big, I might be stronger or and faster than a lot of people. But there's still people out there that are bigger, faster, and stronger than me. So you always have to continue to outwork someone that you're trying to beat out, outwork someone that is trying to beat you out, and just continue to work on the little things, work on things that you need to get better at. And at the end of the day, I think your work will show for itself when it comes to what you've done and what you try to do and continue to do and to prove. You just got to work at it.
There you have it. Put in the work. Chris Wormley, thank you so much for taking the time tonight. As we actually close this now, where can everyone find you on social media?
Oh, man, I'm on Instagram. I think I'm bigworm_43. Twitter is Chris Wormley 43 maybe. And Facebook is just for family, so don't try and add me there. I am on TikTok, but it's just for viewing purposes only. So if you want to find me on TikTok and send me some funny videos, I'll gladly watch those as well. But I appreciate you, Steve, and I look forward to maybe hopping on this again soon.
I'd love to have you back, man. And of course, best wishes. Cannot wait to see what the future holds for you.
Absolutely. Thank you.